Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Moving Spotlight podcast. I am your host, John Ruby, and this is my main man,
Corbin Coyle. Hey, everybody.
Hey, everyone. If you are watching on YouTube, you'll notice, but if you're listening, Corbin and I are both wearing black t-shirts. So I had to throw a hoodie. Yeah, no. I like our guest shirt much better than ours. But before we get to her, which I'm super excited about, Corbin, what do you want to chat about?
John, I miss traveling so much. I just want to get out of here. I just want to go to some other country. I just want to know, where would you want to go? Have you been to a place that you want to go back, or is there somewhere new you want to travel to?
Yeah, I got to go to Reykjavik, Iceland, and it was magical, Corbin. It was it was really neat. There was a year where I had a couple commercials running, so I saved some money, and I took a trip with my dad, with my mom, and with my sister. And so my sister and I went to Iceland. My dad and I snowmobiled through Yellowstone, and then my mom and I went to New Orleans. I don't know, that was kind of an interesting choice. But of those three, I think they were all great trips. But Reykjavik was magical. It's a small city that's got like all the really cool things. And I snuck into the opera there, Corbin, which was really cool. They were on intermission, and then everyone went back in, and I was like, I'm just going to go in too. So the opera was in Icelandic, and then they had the opera was in Italian, and they had subtitles in Icelandic. I didn't understand the word.
You got everything.
I understood it all. But it was such a cool experience, and that is like one place that's just so different and unique, and
Wow, so beautiful. I would love to go there. That sounds beautiful.
Yeah, you know what you can do, Corbin? There's a lot of like layovers in Reykjavik on the way to Europe. So what you do is like you get a trip to Europe, and then you just have like a couple days layover. Then you can hit, like, if you take Icelandic Air, get a little free bonus.
That's smart. Yeah, that's good.
Right?
Extend your trip a couple days. That's good.
Extend your trip. Yeah, that's the way to do it. So, well, I want to get to our guest. I'm super excited about her. She is an author and coach and performer. This is the wonderful Christine Horn. Hi, Christine.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Me.
Yeah, of course.
I want to travel too. I want to go somewhere far away too.
What's on your brain, Christine? I can see you thinking. Is there a specific place?
So many places. I want to go to Africa, Aruba, Bali, Europe. Cool. I want to go back to Italy.
Oh, Italy is I love Italy. That's my
Wait, is Bali one of the huts with the glass bottom? Are you thinking the huts over the water, or no, Christine?
No, I don't need that. I'm thinking that reminds me of Tahiti.
Oh, maybe that's Tahiti. Okay.
Yeah. I just love traveling. Just makes me feel alive. So it doesn't matter where it is, really.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, Christine, we're excited you're here. We're interested. I'm interested in learning a little bit about your journey, how you got to where you are now. So, what kind of started you in the creative arts field?
Wow. You know, when you're like in kindergarten and teacher says like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And people are like, a firefighter, astronaut. I was always like singer, actor, dancer, like just very
triple threat.
Wow. Very serious about it. I grew up in the Bronx in New York, and really that's just all I ever wanted to do. I was an only child until I was about 14. So I was always talking to myself, playing games by myself. I would take my Casio and create my own late night talk show. God bless my friends at the time who were not as bad as I was. But I just loved, my favorite game was store. I would be the clerk. I'd be I just loved being creative. So my mom, by my request, put me in dance class when I was probably around 7 or 8. So I took tap, jazz, ballet. And my mother always took me to see Broadway shows, off-Broadway shows, just and we would curl up on Friday nights, and as my mother would say, and watch a good movie. We're going to watch a good movie tonight. I just always loved I was just always drawn to art and artists. I think that was just my assignment when I got here. So yeah, when we moved to Georgia when I was headed to 10th grade at this time, and I had siblings, and I hated the fact that we moved down south, is what we called it in New York. It wasn't Georgia, it's just the South. Yeah. But it was rough, but it was the best thing my mother could have ever done, because she made sure she bought a house in the district of one of the top performing arts high schools in Atlanta, which is Tri-City High School. Same school Kenan Thompson went to, Candy Burris, Outkast. So just a lot of great stuff has come out of there. And that's where I met my mentor, Freddie Hendricks, who happened to have his own theater company for youth. And it was the Youth Ensemble of Atlanta. And that I just got my chops there. Again, some of the most amazing talent you still know. A lot of people become famous from that group, but we were all performing professionally around age 16. No scripts ever. We wrote everything from our heads. Wow. If you missed the rehearsal, someone else learned your part and it was their part now. So the level of competition that I was around and just a level of excellence and greatness just helped me stand out, especially as I moved into doing it professionally as an adult.
Yeah. Wow. What happens when you find like the guy you mentioned, when you find that person that really like a mentor or who inspires you? What do you think, Christina? Isn't that a wonderful feeling when that happens?
Oh, absolutely. It's like when you land on a mentor, it's such a gift, especially when you didn't know you needed it. And then when you look back and see the impact they've had, and I keep that in mind, and I definitely operate from that place now as a coach. I always tell people I'm the coach I wish I had when I was in a rough spot. We'll get there later, I'm sure. But yeah, it's a powerful thing. And I think each and every one of us has the power to mentor. There's that saying, to every third grader, a fourth grader is a God. So it's like, you don't have to know everything, but if you know a little more than me and you're headed in the same path that I'm headed, you can help me out.
And I always like that too, because it's like, it's funny. I say the same thing as a teacher. I always want to be the teacher that I wanted, Christine. So I love that about the coaching thing. And also it's like, if someone has, if a guide has gotten out of the jungle before, why would you not want to go with a guide out of the jungle? Right. Let's say, right? Like, you've done it. Like, do you want to hack your way through by yourself, or do you want to try going with someone who you trust? We
can be stubborn. We can be very stubborn.
Yeah, we can.
And I'm sure, as a teacher and as we're all artists, there's that part of us that just, I can figure it out, but it's like success leaves clues. The path has already been laid, and it's okay. It's not you copying. It's you will always be you, one of a kind, wonderful, and unique, never duplicated. So neither is the person that is guiding you. So just follow those steps, like just take some of that weight off your shoulders.
Yeah.
And when you were at the school and everything, were you performing doing a play, or like how did that all work with the mentor? Did you go in and talk to them over and over again and try to figure out which path to lead, or how did that start?
Well, no, our magnet program at that high school was amazing. So I was in dance class, the show choir, the drama club. I was in the film club. I was that student who I spent my time at that other side of the school. I did not go to football. I could have cared less about the football team, the drill team. I was the theater girl. I didn't even realize how popular I was until superlatives came out in the yearbook. And I was like, people know me. I was so in my zone of creativity. And I really love to write. I've always been a writer. And that's something I'm reminding myself now as I did the artist way, reminding my inner child that I've always been a writer, because, you get older and you stop doing things. Yeah. But I used to write for the local newspaper for the city of Atlanta. A bunch of teenagers would come together to write for this one city newspaper called Vox. I wrote for the school newspaper. So I really thought I was going to go to college for print journalism. I was like, yeah, this acting thing is great, but I love print journalism. Got accepted to Columbia University. And right before it was time to get ready to go and make the decision, I saw a play in my senior year that just was so horrible to me. And it felt like a disrespect to the craft. And I went home and told my mother, I'm not going. My mother was like, it's that boyfriend of yours. he told you that. Right. But no, and so I don't say this to people, will take it how they take it. I don't have a college degree, and I'm great with that. That was a choice. After I left, I'd attempted to go to Gainesville College at the community, like in Gainesville, Georgia, for 3 months. But, the college was right next to the Grand Wizard's house of the Ku Klux Klan. Made it very challenging to go to school and be in that environment. So I left, took some time off. Then I went to AMDA, American Musical Dramatic Academy in New York for their musical theater program. And I stayed a year. And then I just was like, because of the mentor, Freddie Hendricks, and the group I grew up around in Atlanta, for so many years performing, our standard was so high. And I kept going, I was like, I'm in school with people, no shade, who are mediocre. You may have a really great voice, but you have no stage presence, or you have no drive. Like, I just wasn't feeling challenged. I said, you know what, bump this. I'm just going to start working, because as an artist, my goal is always still to just be better, to better myself, to better my craft. What can I learn? And of course, there was a great curriculum, but I was like, I'm going to save this extra money because I don't have a scholarship. because AMDA is expensive.
Yeah.
And so I just started, and I went back and forth from Atlanta to New York, got my union card, my equity card in Atlanta. I was like, let me go do a TYA show, get that, come back to New York. And I literally was pounding the pavement for young people. That was when we went to auditions, like a trade.
In person, yeah.
Yeah, and we would literally walk through the city and pound the pavement.
Now they're pounding self-tapes. No, you're pounding the pavement. You're walking around. You're in your high heels, or you got them in, like, or you're carrying all your stuff, all your clothes. Yeah.
Man.
Oh my gosh. I spent one July in New York, which was fun, Christine, auditioning. And I remember just like, I kind of romanticized the subway. And then in July, like for auditions, you're like in a suit, you're just like sweating, and I'd like come from LA where I'm used to like my air conditioned car. And I was like, this is different than I imagined, so it took a little. So you were in New York for a while. And then what kind of brought you out to LA, or when did that transition happen?
Oh, wow. There's a lot in between there. So I'll set this up for you. Yeah. So did the back and forth from Atlanta to New York thing while working many jobs, y'all. No shade. I had a day job. I had a night job, side hustles, right?
Christine, do you have a worst job? Because I was just thinking, I did a temp job for Wells Fargo Bank where I had to stuff envelopes for 8 hours. And here's the problem. It's on Wilshire Boulevard. I think it's still there. I was in the lobby. They didn't even put me in a back room. So I'm in the lobby, like stuffing envelopes, and like people are coming in. I'm like, and I'm like, this is terrible. I can't do it. And then they called me back again. I was like, I can't. I just did one day. I was like, I'm done.
Did they let you listen to anything while you're doing that?
Oh my gosh. I feel like that was before cell phones. I just no, I don't know. I
have jobs like that, and they're like, no books and no earbuds. You're like, well, this is monotonous. Yeah, I think the worst job I've had many jobs. I spent, I've worked in the nonprofit sector for a while, but I remember a temp job I had. I was about 18, and I got fired from it because it was a receptionist, but I got fired because there was one person in the office who didn't like that I did not say hello to them every time I saw them. So that meant not just coming through the front door, of course, good morning, right? And when you're leaving, have a great day. If they were going to the bathroom, they wanted me to speak. If they were coming back from lunch, they wanted me to say, like, this. I got fired because I did. And I was like, you monster. Get over yourself. You need me to keep valid. So, but no, I was just working like many of you watching, I'm sure, working two jobs because I loved to fund my own projects. So my day job paid for my mortgage and bills. My night job, waiting tables and hosting, paid for my concerts. I put out 2 albums on my own. Wow. It was just hanging out. So I was never afraid of work. But in 2003, I went to an open call for Aida and The Lion King. It was at Clark Atlanta University, a big cattle call. Aida, I got many callbacks, even got offered a swing position. And I was like, oh, no, thanks. I don't know what the swing is, dumb. But then 3 years later, Lion King calls me out the blue. Never had a callback or anything. 3 years. And I'm at work and they're like, can you come for a callback in New York? I'm like, okay. Scrambled, borrowed money, went, did not book it. They said you were next in line if something came up. Okay. A month later, they called saying, can you be on tour next week? So that changed. That was in 2006, July 2006 to be exact. And so I was like, okay, it's my last day, guys. I'm out. So I did the Lion King. I did both national tours, the Cheetah Gazelle tour. I did
Christine, did you ever find out what happened? I mean, was it just all last minute stuff? I mean, that's really an interesting.
With Lion King? Well, just like any Broadway show, people have medical leave. People get moved around. At that time, there were so many companies going. Yeah. So it was. Once you're in it, you realize, they're always interchanging people. Yeah. So and you're very ready. Right. Ready. Because if you say no, someone's next, there's a list. That's why when they said, she didn't book it, she's next in line. Wow. So they have a hierarchy, and each and every one of us fills a certain track, as they call. So I started as an ensemble track that understudied Nala. And so then I was on the show, I was doing a good job. Then I got to play Nala on the Gazelle tour, and then great. And then I got to go to Broadway in 2008. And so they sent me to Germany and then that didn't work out because I was horrible at German. So thank you. Dodged a bullet there. But then I got to close out the Mandalay Bay show in Vegas for the last 3 months. And after that, I said, I want to go to LA. I want to do, I'm 8 shows a week. Jumping on this line as a lion, I'm tired. My bones are tired. I'm good. 5 years, I'm good. So I was like, I got a place sight unseen. And literally when the show closed, it was like New Year's Eve, 2011, I drove to LA. Thank God, thank you for Debbie, whose room I used to rent. And that's where, and I was like, clearly I've been on Broadway, guys, and I had a few indie credits, like, hello, LA, I'm here.
All the doors were wide open. Right, Christine? You just walked right in. You walked right in.
It was a rude awakening. It was just, and I talk about this very openly in my book and to my community. I didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't know about the trends. LA is like the Olympics of acting, like the marketing, I didn't know any of that. So I'm just sitting there, savings dwindling, going on Actors Access, trying to get an agent, one that didn't call. Like, it was just all the things. And it was rough. So I just ended up doing theater when I first got here, because that was easy. So I worked with some of the union houses at the time. But then it got to a point where I was like, when I was going to have to get a job again, and it got dark, I just was like, I was in a long distance relationship. My health was suffering. So I was like, I'm going to move back to Atlanta. And I moved back to my mother's basement with a plan. It's like, I'm going to get good. I need to understand how this TV stuff really works. Because clearly the note I was always getting was, you're too big, and of course, because I'm coming from the theater, and I needed someone to break down that more specifically to me, like what, and so that's what I did. I just also delved really deep into personal development, because my life felt like it was crumbling down. And I also knew, before a new building is built, you can't build a new building on bad foundation. So I knew I had to wait until I was totally demolished, which is a tough period to be in when you're in a waiting period of watching your life just crumble. But I saw myself on the other side of it always. So I just had to wait and prep and pour into myself. So I dug deep. Jim Rohn, Les Brown, Zig Ziglar, Tony Robbins, Lisa Nichols, Louise Hay, like anything, Abraham Hicks. I started Law of Attraction. I just studied how I could change my life, how I could control my life. I partnered that with coaching in Atlanta, private coaching for film, for TV. And then something clicked in me and in my knowing and in my talent. And then I just started booking. And then I got to a point, I ended up getting married to a guy I dated 20 years prior. Like, you never know who will come out the woodworks. Wow. So life is funny. And it got to the point, I booked a series for ABC in like 2015. That's my first series regular for an ABC show. We didn't get picked up, but that got me my managers here in LA. And so they saw me, years passing, like, do you want to come back? Do you think you should come back? Like, we think your type, there's something for you. So I convinced my husband, who's in hospitality, and I was like, babe, I think it's time. I'm meant for more. I want to do more. I don't want to just wait for what they send down for the local hires. Like, I want to be the star of the show. I can do it. And we got back here 2017 Super Bowl Sunday. And
wow.
Yeah.
Christine, I was thinking about when you said that, kind of when you were hitting kind of a darker, deeper, it's like that idea, where it's like the, like in an oyster, to create the pearl, it like takes that grit and takes that kind of like grind. And I think I see that a lot where people are like, well, I thought it would come easier or something. It's like, well, sometimes it's like, you got to kind of hit those hard points where then you really laser focus, and then you really are chipping away at that wall. And I think that's then when you have the breakthroughs or something, because I remember going through a similar thing where there was this guy who was like booking a bunch, and I was like, what's he doing that I'm not doing? Like, why is he booking? Like, but I had to like kind of, it wasn't just anger, but it was like refocusing. It was like kind of doing a very similar thing to what you did to kind of break through, versus if you're kind of feeling like you're you kind of got to do that to really, I think, realign everything. So that's really interesting.
And it helps you to get to know yourself. And as artists, something my mentor Freddie used to say, if you don't love yourself, how can you really love your craft? How can you really show up for your craft? And going through anything we go through, I'm like, I get to use it. We all get to use it. There's going to be some role where we got to tap in. And that, for me, I'm like, my file cabinets are full with emotions and things at the ready, because of life and things that I've been through,
How do you, so it seems like you're, from everything you described too, that you're like very loved and you have this great network of people around you. Like you're the person you could stay in their room. You had your mom and family to go back to. You have your mentor. How do you find like those people? Like it seems, because like you said, it also comes from a place of like loving yourself. And like once you love yourself, that cup can spill over to other people. How do you manage that? How do you find people that you can respect and find forever kind of thing?
Yeah, that's a great question. I like to say, what you seek is seeking you, right? It's that Rumi quote. So when I would say for anyone seeking or wanting to invite that into their lives, set the intention of what you desire. So whether it's dating or whether it's platonic friends, like I don't want to be around low grade Unity. I did not want to be around actors who just want to sit around and complain about how bad it is, how jaded they are. I don't need that. That's not helping me. We're not elevating. I like to vibrate at a high frequency. So first start with you. Like, what do I desire? What do you want more of? And I think just really sometimes write it down. Like, I want to be surrounded by friends who encourage me, who can lift me up, who we can talk, and we all have our different zone of genius, and everybody helps. Like, you're my own mastermind. Like, be clear about that, because you will just attract it. We are all magnets, which is why I call myself a booking magnet, because I know I'm always attracting bookings and amazing experiences to me. So I would say that's the first piece. Look at yourself, ask yourself, what do you desire, and put that intention out into the world, and you will. It's like, just like if you say today, you know, I want to see yellow butterflies today. I want to see yellow butterflies today. And you're going to go out and you're going to see yellow butterflies because you've called it forth. It's just the same way when we buy that car. We've never seen that car around. Now, as soon as you buy the car, we see the same car. Like,
Christine, you read my mind. I was just thinking blue Teslas. I'm like, blue Teslas. And now all I'm seeing are blue Teslas. I don't have one, but I'm seeing them. You know? Yeah. Yes.
So it's the same thing. We have so much control, more control than we think. And if you don't like the circle that you have, get a new circle.
Mm-hmm. So Christina, we talked some about the acting, which we might chat a little more about, but also, so what kind of like coaching? Because I love all the stuff you're saying. So do you work with actors or artists? What kind of world do you work in there?
Yes, thank you for asking. Well, a community was birthed when I moved back into LA. I would start going live every day. A community was birthed called Hollywood Bound Actors. So we're an online virtual community. We have an amazing free Facebook group that's super supportive. We also have a podcast and our website. And so I offer virtual courses there. My signature course is one called Book More TV, because I learned something about television during that dark period. And my credits, you know, as I like to tell my students, I got the receipts, y'all. So just look at the receipts.
Yes, she does. Look at her website. It's on there. It's on
there. You can go. There's so many amazing coaches. I'm friends with so many of them.
Yeah.
But my specialty is that. And I have a really great gift at just saying it in layman's terms that people really understand. Very relatable, very, very much your sister cousin vibes. So that's the unique I like to say, I love to talk in food and seasonings. I'm like, that's my little Lowry's seasoning salt that I bring to the but yeah, so if people are curious, Hollywood Bound Actors is the first step into our world. So because I do have a very busy schedule, Book More TV is the most convenient because our community is so huge and they support each other while you do a self-paced course, and then I show up for our Q&As. And then other than that, I do have my book, and then I do have a 6-month mentorship program. That's by application only, really high touch. I only work with certain people at a time when I'm not deep in filming. Like right now, I'm deep in filming, so I'm not doing that. But when my schedule opens up, then I invite a few people to work with me.
That's great. And you mentioned the book. What's the book?
Oh, yes. It's called Playing Small, The Actor's Guide to Becoming a Booking Magnet. It's all about mindset. You know, similar, like you said earlier, people want to know, like when your younger self wanted to know what that other actor was doing. So I get that question, well, what are you doing? Like, what clicked? And I'm like, my mindset. Yeah. No, but tell me what you're really doing. Like, no, it's my mindset. You know, my mindset.
Is it the yellow shirt? I can go buy the yellow shirt. No, it's not the yellow shirt. It's not the yellow shirt.
No, I want you to read the books and understand your worth and understand that you're valuable. And that bring the confidence from the inside out, the light from the inside out. You know, you start to show up in rooms differently, and you stop self-sabotaging because you have to admit that you're afraid, and you're afraid of success, failure, competition, all judgment. Once you really understand and do that work, now your talent gets to shine through because you're confident within yourself. So that's what the book is, like a love letter. You know, I always tell my people who buy it, like, look, I wrote this for myself, and I'm letting y'all read it, you know, because the teacher teaches themselves, you know.
Did you learn anything about yourself writing that book?
Absolutely. Even just the delay in writing it. I had the idea for a good year and a half, and not until I remember I was in Vancouver shooting The Good Doctor, and there was this cute little coffee shop. And one day I was like, just start. And I just allow, because my voice, we all have the voice, or the people on the bus that like to come up and tell us our negative inner critic. I've named mine, and I talk about that in my book. Her name is Veronica. So if anybody who follows me knows about Veronica. Veronica is loud. No one's gonna read that book. You don't know what you're talking about. A book? You're not a writer. Like any nasty thing that you can imagine. I would just take a step a day. Well, I would combat Veronica by writing a page. And then I went through a moment, and this is important for actors to hear. It was like 3 months where during pilot season, when it should be busy, and it was quiet. I had a slow 3 months this one year. And whenever stuff gets slow and quiet, I'm like, okay, God, what's this time for? You're gifting me this time for a reason. And I just said, okay. And I just committed to waking up an hour earlier and just using that hour, my power hour, just to write my book. And I wrote it in 3 months. Wow. And I'm glad I did, because then I got busy, started booking a lot. That's how my journey goes often. It's like slow, 4 jobs at once. Slow, 4 jobs. Like, it's like, seriously? Like, so that's how it seems to go for me.
I'm always fascinated about how people find that drive. Like, where does that come from for you? Like this ability to just kind of keep putting every foot forward, and like kind of just, not everybody has that. Nobody just goes, I'm going to wake up every day. And I think that's incredible that you do. I'm wondering where that starts from you.
I'm not going to lie. I do think we're all built differently, right? So, I mean, some of my friends are like, Christine, you're doing the most. How do you do it? Like, right? And I think I'm a Sagittarius. So if anybody's listening and you're wondering if you follow any of that, I'm a Sag. We can be naturally driven people. And everybody doesn't vibe that way. My little brother's super smart, but he's an Aquarius, and he's just chilling, laid back. His energy is not this. And I have to remember, everybody's not me. So outside of like astrology, I also will say, I just wake up with a freaking hunger for my life. And I understand that I can live my life by design. So anything that I want, as long as I just put it in my mind's eye, see the end result, and then I reverse engineer what I don't know, I figure out what I don't know, I ask for help, what I don't know, I read a book or go to YouTube University. And I'm so driven. I'm just driven by my success. I'm driven by those who come before me. I'm driven by what is possible. Like, and now in the age of the internet, like if we had internet and the resources that we have now back then, I don't know what would have been going on. So I try to make the most of it. And also I understand that my purpose has to be bigger than my fear. So many people might be listening or watching and know that there's a burning in their belly. There's something that's nagging, that's tugging, but you're letting fear stop you. And I'm just like, my purpose has to be bigger than my fear. So I'm going to take the scary step. People say, Christine, you're fearless. No, I'm not. I play scared. I understand that fear is always coming along for the ride. So I'm just going to keep moving.
Really like that.
And I think, and I think you have to be okay with not everything working, and that's part of the process, or not everything hitting exactly when you want. I mean, I'm just thinking of like timeline things. Sometimes like some of the stuff I've wanted, I got like 10 years after I wanted it, right? So I wanted it now, and then 10 years later, like, oh, I finally got it, but I wanted it 10 years ago, or I thought I wanted it then, but I got it 10 years later. And I think, Christine, with what you're saying, that that hunger and that curiosity, part of that is that drive to continue forward. And I think I love hearing that you've done that for yourself, and you created a community, because I think all of that can kind of feed into it. If you could give your younger self some advice, like whether you were in New York or Atlanta, what would you say to a younger Christine, as far as like, being in this world and things like that?
I would say take more time just to play, because the work will always be there. There will always be something else to do on the to-do list. So take more time to play. I mean, I did play hard, but especially when I was younger, like, I would have just, we can be so serious. And so like, this has to happen now, so when you're younger too, you feel like you're old. You feel like time is running out. You're so concerned about time. And it's like a joke now. Like, I'm in my 40s, and I'm like, I have so much I'm excited to do. Like, I'm not even thinking about it, but I get it. You know, like, oh my God, I'm about to turn 30. Like, it's gonna be okay. Like, it's gonna be okay.
Isn't that funny? And when you think back, Christine, isn't it funny when you're like, oh man, I used to have like in my 20s like an 8 hour block of like whatever, you know what I mean? And now it's like I can't get that 8 hour block. You know, now it's like I have like a 30-minute block, you know, or
Right.
something, right? Isn't that funny? It's like, oh my gosh, like there's all that time, and I love that idea of play or have fun. I think there's a nice balance between those two. And sometimes, you know, I call it like kind of putting stress on yourself, because I love that you have your own projects going on. Like that's a really interesting thing that I really think, you know, I suggest empowers people, where it's like, yes, if the phone rings, you got an audition for Good Doctor, heck yeah, work on that, you know, drop those other things. But it's always nice to have something that you're excited about that's kind of fun, but maybe it's a bit of stress. Whether it's your own web series or something you're writing or a book, because that's something you can control. You know, the auditions coming fast or slow, you can't, on a certain level, you can't control. So what's the stuff that you can be doing on your own time that still feeds you, that gets you excited,
Absolutely.
you know, because that's stuff you can control. How do you handle stuff, control and lack of control, Christine?
Oh,
Should we ask your husband this question too?
again, I'm in this room most of the time. If I'm not on set, I am here.
Yeah.
You know, what becomes a challenge, especially because I'm an entrepreneur and I have a team of 11 and I run a successful company, is making sure the artist gets enough time. So I have to then treat this career, this company, as my day job, make sure I clock out, make sure I don't check that email, because there's still a whole actress here that still has work to do. And, you know, 3 series regular audition. They're 13 pages. Okay. What time am I clocking out? Like balancing that, then having a husband and a dog, and, you know, so it's not always balanced. But I keep checking in with myself. What's important, you know, because at the end of the day, when all the work is said and done, like what's left? You know, I want to make sure I have, you know, foster my relationships, not just with my husband, but with my friends too. I get on my friends, I'll be like, okay, I told one of my friends recently, I've been asking you to lunch for 2 years. I'm done. I love you, but I'm not going to beg you. We're all busy. We all make time for what we want to make time for. And you're clearly not making time for me. Right. And so I have to make sure that I'm pouring into my friends also. You know, like take that break. Don't, you know, that book, you never eat alone. Like, don't eat alone. Go step outside. And, you know, because if the pandemic has taught us anything, is that nothing is promised. Tomorrow's not promised. So yes, there's work, there's creativity, but making sure you are fueling yourself with love, loved ones. And that gives you the energy. I mean, for me, and I'm talking to myself right now, it's the hardest thing because I'm in the zone. I don't want to stop. It's like, stop. You'll come back more refreshed. And you probably do that thing a lot quicker anyway than sitting in here. Like, it's not about clocking hours. That's the thing too. I've been learning over the years, especially as I outsource a whole lot more, is it's not about clocking hours. That's an old employee mentality. I can get plenty done in 3 and have the rest of my day to traipse at Ross and buy some candles if I want to. Right. So getting out of that mindset that I have to prove my worth by the time I put in, that's so outdated and played.
When you're in that actress mode after work and you've gone through all the business right brain stuff, how do you determine how you're going to prep for something? So I was seeing, like you mentioned, The Good Doctor, and that was like a very heartfelt scene and very tough scene. But then so like how did you prepare for that, in juxtaposing with It's Always Sunny or something else that you've been on, where it's a lot more fast and loose and a little bit more comedy? How do you, when you do a business day, how do you switch those modes, and how do you decide that? Like, I'm just so curious.
Yeah. Oh, great question. You know, for me, like when part of my process begins, and I tell my students this also because they miss this. My process begins when that email comes in, or that email from my team comes in. Process starts right there at that moment, because how you feel energetically. Like some of you get 1 and you're like, oh, cool. And then get 2 and 3. Are you getting stressed by the 2 and the 3, or are you excited? Like, so that starts there. So even if I'm in the middle of my workday, as soon as it comes in, I like to respond to my team quickly. So I'm a paper girl, so I print everything. I need to read, I'll glance through it really quick. That lets me know what kind of time I need for this just by glancing. Is this one of these that's in my wheelhouse, or is like, ooh, like that's a challenge. I might need coaching for that. Like, that lets me know I need to clock out earlier because I need more time on this. But for me, my prep is kind of the same. You know, I do that, you know, I do my research and what's, you know, what network it's on, who's directing, who's creative team. Okay. Oh, who's the casting this? Oh, I know they like this pace. Or I know, okay, great. All right. And my brain will start thinking about, you know, for me, like I'm a bald woman, but I have not worked bald yet. So I'm always in wigs. What is this? I love figuring out what this person looks like. What do they feel like? Then it's like, so when I clock out, it is then just me sitting with it, just doing that research, then just reading. Personally, a little trick of mine is I'm spoiled by self-tapes. I love self-tapes. I mean, I book all the time off of them. So I don't get off book. I don't get off book at all. I actually type all my lines out and I read them. So I'm like, the time that I used to spend, oh my God, I have an in-person 14-page audition tomorrow down in Wilshire. That's gone for us now, at least for right now, at the time of this recording. So that time I get back by just playing. I'm really triggered by music. So music fuels all of my characters. So what place do I need to be in? I have trigger songs to make me do that guttural emotion cry. And I have some that are just for when I want to feel like a diva, where I want to feel like a badass, like whatever the vibe is, music goes with me for everything. So even as I'm picking out my clothes, that music is playing because I keep a playlist already on YouTube because I don't need 10 different songs. I just know, oh, this is for this, that's for that, that's for that. So even as I'm putting on my makeup, now I'm becoming this person. How does she walk? How does she feel? How does she talk? So that's kind of how it goes. And it's not a hard thing for me. I love, because it's playing. I get to play. I'm like, work is done. Now it's playtime.
Love that.
You know, and I'm always encouraging fun. Have fun.
So Christine, twice when Corbin asked questions, you said great questions, and I have 0 great questions. So I'm going to make this a really freaking good one.
Okay, here we go.
No, this is a really good one.
John
It's not a good one. I mean, I did so much, you know, I'm keeping track here. I'm keeping a tally. God, I wish I had a better question. No, while you're in self-tapes, what advice do you have for actors that are doing a lot of self-tapes right now? I mean, I love what you just said. What any other thoughts on how to approach that? Because it is very different, and I think they're around to stay. Yeah.
Oh, that is an amazing question.
Oh, Christine, you're the best. Oh my gosh. Really? Send her all the swag we got, Corbin. Send her all the swag we got. Good.
You know, yes. The biggest, juiciest tips. And also, you know, like I have so much fun with this on TikTok and my TikTok community.
Oh,
like,
good. Okay. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So much fun. Here's the thing that I think a lot of people miss. And I know this to be true because I see a lot of tapes. Remember that you're telling a full story. I don't care if it's 1 page or 10 pages. Treat self-tapes like mini short films. I need that beginning, middle, end. I need to know what you're doing before the scene starts, and I need to know what might be happening after the scene ends, right? I should not hit play and then you start, right? Don't start performing. When I hit play, I should be already in your world. If they don't ask for a slate, put the slate at the end unless otherwise specified, right? Because I don't want to meet you. I want to meet this character. I want you to tell me this full story. Don't be afraid. Here's another juicy tip that I usually don't even talk about publicly. Hold for commercial. Again, I'm really talking about television because that's, again, my sweet spot. Yeah. Hold for commercial. If you want practice, if you don't even know what I'm talking about, follow me on YouTube. But for today, know that don't cheat me in your end beat. Don't cheat me. If you need practice, watch Mariska Hargitay, watch Law and Order SVU. She is the queen of it. It's who I studied for years. She knows how to hold for a commercial break. Practice that, because that's also what you need to be prepared to do on set, not just in your auditions. So you need to get this in your muscle memory early. And one more nugget for you is make sure you really create your environment. Now, I'm not saying I don't want to see the things, but you need to know where everything is. If your character's in an office, okay, where's my file cabinet? Where's my phone? Where's the hallway? Where's my desk, right? And I'm good for, in my home studio, setting up tables and things that you will never see. They're not in frame. And I use it. I need to feel tangible things. If I'm supposed to be writing, I'm gonna actually have a pen. I'm gonna have a phone or whatever I need, but it doesn't mean you then have to see it in the frame. But do whatever you need for it to become real for you. Because if it's real for you, it'll be real for us watching.
Yeah, don't you feel sometimes, Christine, it's easier when you're on set, when you're in the police station or whatever it is,
Yes.
or, you know, because it's all around you. And so I love that, creating that environment that you believe,
Right.
not even for them, but for you. So you're like, oh, I'm in it, right?
Exactly.
And I love that. Yeah, because it's, and on self-tape, and you said, you know, you book off of self-tapes, they're not going to give, you're not getting usually redirects, anything. You're just like, oh, we want to see it. And then we want to see that on set, you know?
I think that I want to throw this one last nugget in, because this is something, especially for the seasoned actors that are listening. So you're seasoned, but maybe you're hit a lull and you don't quite know why, but you're stubborn and think you know it all. I'm going to speak to that person right now.
Corbin. Yeah. John. Go ahead. Just put a name. That's just the name I put on it. I did nothing specific.
Nobody
just
specific.
Came in my head. Go ahead. Yeah.
Sometimes the mistake is, and this is something, again, I'm going back to my mentor, Freddie Hendricks. Quick story before we wrap. We would be in a town, and we would be there for sound check, right? And back in the day, we'd be like, I'm saving my voice. Like, I don't want to. And one day we were saving our voices, right? Because we're divas now. And he said, stop. How is the sound department supposed to know what they're prepping you for if you don't give them you need to be full out so they know how to adjust your levels. You can't show up to sound check playing half. So the same thing with self-tape. Sometimes people say, when they watch my auditions, oh, wow, you really went there, right? Well, the script says she wails. The script says she's heartbroken. You're not playing full out enough, and you're resting on your laurels because you think you've been doing it for a long time. And how are they gonna know you can do it if you don't show them? This is in this moment of your self-tape, you have the job. But there's no way no one's going to assume you can do it. If you don't show me in a self-tape, you think I'm going to take the chance to let you on my set and then hold up production because you can't deliver?
Yeah.
So that's big, go hard or go home, or just decline it if you're not going to play full out. And I get passionate about it because people are like, I'm not booking. I don't know why. Because you're not showing up full out.
Yeah.
That's why.
The last self-tape thing I booked, my character loses a body part and I have to not wail, but like the pain.
Yeah.
And the thing is, Christine, when I watch it back, I was like, that's an ugly face you're making, John. That is just a terrible,
okay.
But I went there fully, like you're saying. And I think with what you're talking about, you're 100% right, because they want to feel you feeling it. And if you're like holding it or saving it, what are you saving it for? This is the time, to go, to spend that extra time and find it. I love it. I love all those nuggets, Christine. Thank you. Thank you so much. We have one last section before we let you go. What is it, Corbin?
It's your best
bad acting. All right, Christine, this is going to be hard for you because you are super talented. But what we're going to do is we're going to put something, some lines in the chat. And this is the first time we're going to do this. You're actually going to act with Corbin. So try to, he'll bring you down. Don't worry. So go to his level. The idea is this is from an animated show. And it's just for fun. So you can put a little voice on if you want. Are you familiar with this scene at all? Do you see it in the chat? No.
No.
Okay. Okay. So this is from The Simpsons. And the idea is Bart thinks he's smarter than Lisa, but Lisa always beats him.
Okay.
So you can have fun with her voice, her mannerisms, whatever it is. It's just kind of a fun, it's just for fun. You can just enjoy it. All right.
Okay. Okay. Look, there's only one reasonable way to settle this. Rock, paper, scissors. Oh, poor predictable Bart. Always takes rock.
Good old rock. Nothing beats that. Rock.
Paper.
Dope.
Oh my God, that was so good. All right. This was so good. That was hilarious. Christine, can you do any fun accent? I want to hear an accent. Whatever you can do. Anything would be, I like that voice.
I mean, sometimes I play, my family is Jamaican and I have Jamaican and Bermudian ancestry. So sometimes I can turn that on.
Oh, yes. I love
and
it.
Also growing up in New York,
oh my gosh.
I grew up around a lot of Dominicans, what I'm saying? So I would imitate them, so I wanted to sound like them.
All right, let's do Dominican. Let's do Dominican.
That's the reason why I started speaking Spanish and taking Spanish lessons. You know what I'm saying? Because
Such a good world.
Okay, let's do Dominican. Let's do it one more time, Dominican.
That was my version. That's what I got.
But can you do it with the lines? Can you do it with the lines? Let's try with the lines. Yeah, let's try with the lines. Yeah.
Here we go. Yeah. Look, there's only one reasonable way to settle this. Rock, paper, scissors. Poor predictable bar always takes rock.
Good old rock. Nothing beats that. Rock.
Paper.
Dope.
I told you, but he doesn't listen. Escúchame.
This is my favorite part because of this. This hand, the hand, which makes it. It's like, this is like, that's the that's the Dominican right there. Oh my God. Christina, that was amazing. Thank you so much for that. That was lovely.
No shade to my Dominican sisters. I love.
Of course.
That was really, when I grew up in New York, I was surrounded by like Caribbean people, or Dominicans and Puerto Ricans. That was it in the Bronx.
I love it. I love it. In Wisconsin, I was just surrounded by a bunch of generic white people. So I love it, Christine. It's way more exciting, way more fun. Yeah. Well, Christine, thank you so much for your time. We're so happy for your success as an actress and as a coach. Everybody, check her out, look her up online. So thank you so much. This was just lovely getting to know you, and thank you again.
Same here. Great way to start my day.
Awesome.
Bye, everybody.
Christine. All right. Bye, Christine. You listened to the whole episode. Thank you so much.
Good job.
You are one of 3 people that listened to this whole episode of the Moving Spotlight podcast. Just kidding. We appreciate that. All we want to say today is thank you so much for listening and subscribing to our show. We're glad you're out there. We're doing this because we love it, but we also love having an audience. Yeah. Corbin?
Thank you. We appreciate every single one of you. It's been great seeing the numbers grow and everybody out there doing their thing.
Have a great day. See you on the next one. Thank you for listening to the
Moving Spotlight Podcast.